So let's start reviewing the pretest. Question 1. For 1 to 4, find the value of x. X equals, and this is the drawing we were given. Okay, so let me reproduce the drawing down here so we can talk about it a little bit. We've got a line. It's a vertical line. Then we've got a line that's a horizontal line. And we're given x is over here, and this is a right angle. So once we know that two lines that are intersecting create one right angle, we know now that every angle is a right angle. So this angle is also a right angle. This angle here is also a right angle, and so is this one. So each of these 4 angles are all right angles. That's a very, very important point. Be sure that you know that. So if two lines intersect and they create one right angle, then all the angles are right. Okay? In addition, if two lines intersect and they create a right angle, then those two lines are perpendicular. Okay, so these two lines are perpendicular. So we know now that x has to be a right angle, and therefore x equals 90 degrees. Okay, that's the answer for number 1. Let's go on to number 2. Number 2, we don't have two perpendicular lines here. Okay, so we've got two lines that are intersecting, and let's draw it out over here again. Sometimes it's helpful to copy the diagram. Okay, this is angle x, and this is 110 degrees. So what kind of angles are these? Are they adjacent angles? Yes, they're definitely adjacent angles. Okay, they share this side in common, but nothing else, and they're right next to each other. Are they a linear pair? Yes. Okay, why are they a linear pair? Well, they're a linear pair because, take a look at this straight line here. Okay, that straight line has an angle measure of 180 degrees because every straight line has a 180 degrees measure. And if you notice, this angle, that's 110 degrees, plus this angle that's x degrees, added together create this straight angle. Okay, so if you think about this as sort of rotating around, x degrees this way plus another 110 degrees this way gives you the straight line. So they are adjacent, they are a linear pair. Are they supplementary? Well, we already remember the rule, all linear pairs are supplementary angles, okay, which means that 110 plus x is equal to 180 degrees. That's just another way of saying they add up to a straight angle. So by subtracting 110 from both sides, we can get x equals 70 degrees, and that is our answer for number 2. Okay, x equals 70 degrees. Let's move on to number 3. So here we've got what looks to be a very similar picture, right? These angles look like they're in the same, sort of the same, they're kind of cutting each other at the same angle as they are in number 2, but there is one difference here. Okay, of course, the angle is slightly different. It's 118 degrees over here instead of 110 degrees. But we're not being asked to find the angle adjacent to it, which was this one, but we're actually asked to find the angle that's on the other side of the vertex. So we've got two straight lines crossing, and we're looking at angles that they're sharing sort of the same line, right? But they're not adjacent. These are vertical angles. Okay, so you have to try to recognize a vertical angle when you see it. Vertical angles, which mean, in brief, they share the same vertex, okay, but they're on opposite sides of the vertex. And there's something that's very important about vertical angles, and that's that the measure of vertical angles is equal. So the measure of angle x is equal to the measure of the vertical angle that's in its pair of vertical angles, which is 118 degrees. So we're done. So the answer to number 3 is the measure of angle x is equal to 118 degrees. Which then takes us to the 4th question, which is the last question in this initial video. So we're given a slightly different diagram, and it looks sort of more complicated. And it looks more complicated because we've got 3 lines intersecting instead of 2. So let's go ahead and let's copy this underneath. Now notice those 2 lines are perpendicular, right? The horizontal and vertical lines have a right angle, which means all of these angles are right angles. So we can kind of just notate that in for us. And then we've got another line that's intersecting at the same point that these 2 lines intersected. And I'll try to draw it. Okay, good. And we know that this angle over here that's created from that additional intersection is 47 degrees, and we need to find this angle over here. This is definitely a more difficult problem, but I want to point out this. We still have a straight angle here. Okay, this is a straight angle because it is a line. And if you look real closely, you'll see that it is the sum of 3 angles if we look on this right side. If we add angle 47 plus adding this right angle, which we know is 90 degrees, plus adding this angle x, we end up with the straight angle. Okay, so let's go ahead and make an equation of that. 47 degrees plus 90 degrees plus x degrees is equal to 180 degrees because 180 is a straight angle. Well, this kind of turns out to be not so complicated after all. So we'll just do our addition. We get 137 plus x equals 180. Subtract 137 from both sides and we're done. So we get x is equal to 43 degrees. So that is the answer to number 4. The answer to number 4 is the measure of x, to really do it formally correctly, the measure of angle x is equal to 43 degrees.